Picture this, a family cruise, sun-drenched days in the Caribbean. It's the perfect escape, right? But what happens when that dream vacation completely unravels and turns into an impossible crime? Today, we're looking at the deeply unsettling mystery of Amy Lynn Bradley, a young woman who vanished from a massive cruise ship in the middle of the night, leaving behind a trail of clues that point to something truly dark.
You know, for the Bradley family, this trip on the Rhapsody of the Seas was a huge celebration. It was a chance to make memories with their 23-year-old daughter, Amy. The first few days were perfect, exactly what you'd hope for. But that vacation of a lifetime was about to become their absolute worst nightmare. And this is the question that just hangs over everything. I mean, think about it. A modern cruise ship is basically a floating city. There are security cameras, staff everywhere, 24/7. It's a self-contained world. So how does someone just disappear? Well, in the early morning hours of March 24th, 1998, that's exactly what happened. Amy Lynn Bradley was gone, without a trace, kicking off a mystery that still haunts everyone involved.
All right, so let's get into the specifics of how this dream trip turned into a complete and utter nightmare. So, let's set the scene. The ship is gliding through the dark, open water of the Caribbean, somewhere between Aruba and Curacao. It's the middle of the night. There is nothing but miles and miles of black ocean in every single direction. It's kind of the perfect place for someone to just vanish. To even begin to understand what could have happened to Amy, we have to go back and trace her final hours on that ship. Let's walk through that timeline.
First off, it's so important to know who Amy was. She was this vibrant, 23-year-old woman with her whole life ahead of her, a recent college grad, a great athlete, and super close with her family. The key thing here is this wasn't some troubled person looking to run away. She was on a fun vacation with the people she loved most in the world. And that's what makes what happens next so completely baffling.
Okay, this is where it gets really chilling. The window for her disappearance is incredibly small. Around 3:30 in the morning, she's with her brother. A little after 5 a.m., her dad briefly sees her on their cabin's balcony, but by 6 a.m., she's gone. And that unconfirmed sighting of her on a lower deck with a crew member, that's a huge piece of the puzzle and maybe the first real hint that this wasn't just an accident. And then there are these little details that just don't add up. Her cigarettes and her lighter were just sitting there on a chair on the balcony. You don't leave those things behind if you're planning to go somewhere or if you accidentally fall overboard. No, those are the things you leave when you expect to be right back in a minute. It's like she was there 1 second and then was just plucked out of existence. So as the sun starts to rise and the ship is alerted, total panic sets in. And right away, the story splits into two very, very different possibilities. On one side, you have the official line from the cruise ship. They pretty quickly concluded that she must have fallen overboard. A terrible, tragic accident. But her family? They weren't buying it. Not for a second. They knew Amy was a trained lifeguard, a strong swimmer. They insisted she wouldn't have just fallen. And they told investigators that some of the crew had been giving Amy some weird, unwanted attention. They felt it in their gut. Something sinister had happened. So as the search starts, you're left with these two absolutely horrifying scenarios. Did she fall into that vast, dark ocean? Or was she taken? A fall would have been a death sentence for sure, but the idea that someone could be abducted from a supposedly secure cruise ship, well, that was almost too terrifying to even think about. The official investigation pretty much stalled out, but for Amy's family, the search was just getting started. And the things they uncovered over the years began to paint a much, much darker picture, one that seemed to confirm their absolute worst fears. And this is where we get to the trafficking theory, which has really come to define this whole case. The belief is that Amy was targeted, maybe by crew members working with criminals on shore, and was literally smuggled off the ship to be sold. It sounds like something straight out of a movie, I know, but as we're about to see, some of the clues that popped up over the years are just deeply unsettling. So over the next few years, these potential sightings start trickling in. In 1999, there's a really chilling report from a U.S. Navy sailor who believes he saw Amy in a brothel. Then, in 2005, a tourist snaps a vacation photo, and in the background is a woman who looks so much like Amy that her parents are convinced it's her. On top of that, there were these mysterious emails claiming Amy was alive but being held captive. Now, none of this has ever been officially confirmed, but for her family, it's been just enough to keep that flame of hope alive.
Out of all the tips and sightings, there's one that just sends a shiver down your spine. Imagine this. You're a U.S. Navy sailor, and a frantic woman comes up to you in a brothel in Curacao and says, "My name is Amy Bradley, I need help." But before you can even process what's happening, she's whisked away by her handlers. The sailor admitted he didn't report it right away, afraid of getting in trouble. But later, when he saw her story on the news, he was certain it was her. It's a haunting account, and it's become a central part of this whole mystery.
So after all these years, where does this leave us? Well, we have these two completely different stories, a handful of disturbing clues, and a family still absolutely desperate for answers. So let's just break it down one last time. You've got theory one, a tragic accidental fall. The main evidence for that is, well, the lack of evidence of anything else, like a struggle. Then you have theory two, a planned abduction. This one is supported by all those potential sightings and the family's gut feeling about some of the crew. In the end, both are just theories. There's no smoking gun, which is exactly why this case is still cold. 27 years. Just let that number sink in for a minute. For almost 3 decades, Amy's family has been trapped in this awful limbo, not knowing if their daughter is alive or dead, just searching for answers that have never come. And officially, that's where things stand. It's a cold case. The cruise line has always maintained that no foul play occurred on their watch. And while the FBI did investigate, without a body, without any concrete evidence, their hands are pretty much tied. It's an incredibly frustrating dead end.
And so the story really comes back to her family. They have never given up. They continue to keep Amy's story alive online, always holding on to that unwavering hope that one day, someone, somewhere, will come forward with the information they have been waiting for so long.
So that leaves us all with that one massive, unanswered question. What really happened to Amy Lynn Bradley? Was it a tragic freak accident at sea? Or was she targeted, stolen, and forced into a horrifying world that operates in the shadows? The truth, it seems, vanished with her into the Caribbean darkness, leaving the rest of us to wonder.